we are human first before we're whatever. If I'm coming there, I want to do building and construction. You've left family, friends, loved ones. You've left mom and dad and siblings in the Gambia, in West Africa, to travel 3 days to get into Australia to come and do this course. So come what may, I need to finish it. That's how you leave a legacy.
Welcome to NAWIC Couch, Hobart edition. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Cecelia Catherine Loppy. Many people know me by Catherine. I live in Hobart, Tasmania, and I work as a project manager with TasWater.
How did you get into being project manager?
Well, that's a long journey, getting into project management and now being a project manager. I've always loved the construction industry. I've always loved managing projects, and it took me quite a long journey to get here. But it all started way back when I was young, and I was in secondary school then, and end up doing one of our construction subject and technical drawing as well. It just increased my fascination about the construction industry, and also having a grandpa that was a builder. It all added to me ending up where I am today. So I have a lot of credit for them, but I've always loved the industry, inspired by my grandpa.
And where did you go to secondary school?
That was in the Gambia in West Africa. That's where I went to secondary school. So I went to a technical secondary and junior and senior secondary school, which is so focused on technical subjects. So we do technical drawing, which was more of us learning about the construction industry and also drawing plans, construction plans. That's where I started, leading to being an architect, but I did not. At the end, I wanted to be on site. And then I did woodwork. I did a little bit of metal work as well. And we have mechanical work as well. So it was pretty much a full-on secondary school with a lot of technical subjects. I think my fascination was seeing girls, ripping off a whole car engine. And, I was like, oh my goodness, that looks so good. But the fact that we were able to learn about the construction industry was my biggest fascination, because I thought, well, that's what grandpa does.
Yeah.
So I'll go down this way.
Was it a mixed gendered school?
It was a mixed gendered school. It was a mission school, Catholic mission school, and it was so focused on technical subjects. It was actually amazing because that school has been on for so long. I don't know how many years now, but I think it's been on for over 50 years, and they've always been known. So they call St. Peter's Technical Secondary School.
Yeah.
Up to this day, they've been in my country for so long. And they've been focused on mixed gender and also on technical subjects.
What was the split of genders like? Was there many other girls?
When it comes to technical subjects, though, when you get to year 9, that's when you get to decide. So you don't have a choice to drop them between year 7 and year 9. So year 9, after your, what we call I think it was called the West African examination exams that we do. After that, you can choose when you're going to year 10 what you drop. So from year 7 to year 8, you have to do at least 2 to 3 technical. So you can choose between metalwork, woodwork, mechanical work, or the technical drawing and construction.
Yeah.
So you cannot, you have to, at least you have to take 2 and 3. You cannot skip them because they were part of our core subjects.
Yeah, so it was almost like there was more exposure for girls because they had to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. I think one of the fascination was our overall, like in our workshops, we have to wear overalls. When you're there, sometimes when you turn your back on a big machinery, especially in the metal workshop, it's hard to know who is that, because you've got your goggles on, you've got your hat on, and you're drilling. It's only when you get outside of that overall that was like, oh, there was a girl in that overall. So it was quite fascinating, and I enjoyed it. I did a lot of metal work. I started with woodwork, but then I stopped. I thought, look, my uncle is a carpenter at home. I don't want to do the same thing. If I have something I needed doing. I can tell my uncle to do it. I'll go into the metalwork area. So I did metalwork, and then I did construction and technical drawing itself. And I think I was also in a joinery workshop as well. So it was so fascinating to know that I can use my hands apart from cooking to do other technical stuff. So it was so good.
Did you choose to go to that school, or was that where your parents sent you?
Well, it's my dad. My dad chose it because it was one of the best schools the time I was growing up. In my country, then in the Gambia, if you want quality education, you go to the mission schools, which are missionary schools. The government schools were good, but there was a little bit of a, of a lagging when it comes to the quality of education you will get. And with the mission school, which were run by the nuns, sometimes the nuns or the Catholic mission, they were very strict with education. They have one of the best teachers in the country. When it comes to like in the technical field as well, they've got one of the best trainers in there, some of the best trainers in the country. So every parent wants their child to go to the missionary school. Well, it's a little bit more expensive, but then your child comes back with a very good education results or outcome at the end.
Yeah. Was it close to where you lived?
It was about 20 minutes drive from where I live. So it's not far. But when it's when you're coming back home, that is, after school with the traffic, then it can take up to 30 minutes. But we have school bus system those days. So no matter what happened, it's a school bus. So it will get there within 20 minutes because most people were very kind enough that when they see a school bus behind on the queue on the road, they'll give the school bus, because we don't have special lanes for buses like you have in Australia. It has to be on the same queue, the same lane. But some people are generous enough to just, pull over and let the bus go because they know, we have to get to school before 8:30.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
Nice. That's cool. So when you started showing an interest in those constructions and technical subjects you were doing at school, were you saying to your family that you wanted to do construction like your grandpa?
Well, I didn't mention to my dad straight away. I think I started with my mom because there was this belief that I was going to end up in the medical field, which I didn't want to, because half of my mom's family were already in medical. Some were nurse, doctors, and my maternal grandma was already a nurse and a midwife. And I thought, I don't like needles.
That's not a good start to medical, is it?
Yeah, I don't like needles. I don't like receiving them. I don't like being on the receiving end, and I don't like injecting them on people either. So it was just one of the big ones. I like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll go into construction. Initially, my mom was like, oh, that's good. But I think later it just hit my dad and was like, what did you say you're going to do? I said, like grandpa. It's like, yeah, that's grandpa. I said, but that's what I want to do. And my dad said, well, if you want to do it, that's all good, but that is a very challenging path you're choosing. I said, well, we've got teachers at school that can guide us, and I've got some of my friends that were there as well. My dad was like, okay, that's fine. Do after high school, after year 12, most of my friends, my girls' friends, dropped. They went into nursing, they went into teaching, and I just thought, no.
You're left by yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I was one of the few. I thought, no, I'm not changing.
Yeah.
I would find maybe if you, but then what happened was we don't have technical subjects. We don't have construction at the university level. So when you finish year 12, you're basically stuck. Or you attend, there was a training center that we had there that was also a technical training center. But you have to get in quick.
Yeah.
Because that was the only technical training center, and it was both genders as well. So the application process and you getting a place in it is very tight. So it was one of the reasons where I said to my mom, you know what? I'll wait. I'll go and do something else, do another course. That's when I went and did a short course on business admin.
Okay.
And I end up having a job as a receptionist. But then I said to my mom, anytime I have the opportunity, I'm going back because this is my passion. This is my dream. So then the opportunity came up in 2010.
And what was that opportunity?
Well, my grand-aunt, my mom's aunt, lived in Melbourne. In Australia. She's been here for so long. When I think about it now, I think she's been here now for 41 years or so. So she left my country, the Gambia, and had a scholarship and went to UK to study in the university. So she was in her postgraduate at the time doing her postgraduate when her husband also left Melbourne and went to study in UK,
Okay.
the same university. So they met, got married, and then she moved down here. So she's always wanted a family member to come and join her because Australia is so far away from the Gambia. It takes you 3 days.
Really?
Because of long haul, transit and all of there's no direct flight to get to the Gambia in West Africa. So basically no family member was going to come to visit. I was just too far.
Yeah.
But when I finished year 12 and I was now working as a receptionist, she had come to visit in, I think 2005.
Yeah.
Thereabout. I had already finished year 12 and she was like, oh, I would love a family member to come. And I was chosen and I was not happy that I was the one going to come because I'm thinking, well, I have an older sister. Like, I'm not like the first, because normally in some African families, when an opportunity comes for someone to travel overseas, they start with the oldest.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But my older sister was already in this same technical training center that I couldn't attend at the time. She got a place. She wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a builder. So she got a place and she was already studying. So then I was the one chosen. And I remember the first place I went was the Walmart. And I was arguing with my mom how Australia is so far away from everyone. And why was I the one going?
When you say chosen, so your auntie and your parents made that decision?
Yeah.
Could you have said no? Or is that not how it works?
I'm from an African family.
Okay, so you're told you're going to Australia and you're packing bags.
I was told you'll be the one going. And like, my mom said so, my auntie said so, my uncle said so, my grand aunt, her sister is my maternal grandma. That's my mom's mom. She was a nurse. She too said so. Like everyone was saying so. And where was I going to go? It's like everyone said so. And when you're told what to do, that's what you do. So I remember I said to my mom, I asked, how long is the course? Initially, they said I should come and do hairdressing. I said, I don't want to do hairdressing because I do, in Africa, almost all cultures and tribes know how to do hairs because we have traditional hairstyles that we do. So when my grand aunt came and saw that, I was always busy, like different young children will come, girls will come to the house and I would do their hair. She was there for about 6 weeks. She was like, well, when you come to Australia, you can do hairdressing. I said, no, I don't want to do hairdressing because this type of hairdressing is different. I'm sure it's different from what you do in Australia. This is more of the traditional one. She said, well, think about it. What do you want to study? So after they have returned to Australia, remember with the emails, then I was very new to emails then because my family was of anything electronics. Like I didn't get my first mobile until I finished year 12. That was how, my family was very strict.
Was that common for families that you
Very common.
Okay.
Yeah, very common during that time. So with email exchange with my grand aunt, then she's returned back to Australia. I said, I want to do construction. I remember her email was like, what? Like, why on earth? I think that's what she said. Why on earth would you want to do that? I thought you want to do hairdressing. Oh, maybe do nursing like your grandma. I said, I don't want to do any nursing. If I'm coming there, I want to do building and construction. And that's when she said, all right, if that's what you want, then that's fine. So that was how I ended up in Australia. And I remember saying to my mom, 2 years, I'm coming back home. Just 2 years doing my diploma, coming back home. I said to my mom, who else goes to faraway Australia but me? I'm coming back in 2 years. Well, 2 years is now up almost 15 years. I'm still here.
So you studied in Melbourne.
I studied in Melbourne.
And then you finished studying. Then did you move to Tassie?
Yes, I did my diploma in building and construction in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then I did my bachelor's degree as well in Melbourne, which is built environment applied science, construction management. And then by the time I was doing my diploma, I started working with Hydro Tasmania in their call center in Melbourne. And Hydro, the headquarters is here in Tassie.
Yeah.
So I remember saying to my manager, well, I'm studying building and construction, but I would love to work in the industry. So I know Hydro, it's into power generation, but I know project management principles are the same. So if they have anything with project management, I would love to to move actually to Hobart. She said, well, okay, I'll speak to HR. They spoke with HR. I remember I was in a meeting. They said there was nothing available. So I was still working with them because my end goal was to get into hydro. So by the time I finished my bachelor's degree, so I worked with the call center Momentum for over 4 years.
Okay.
So by the time I finished my bachelor's degree, I went back to my manager. I said, I finished my bachelor's degree. Is there anything? So they got me with someone that was more like a career coach there from my HR team, coach me, check my CV, and tell me areas that I need to work on it. And I did. A few months later, there was a project officer role here in Tassie
Perfect.
for Hydro Tasmania's consultant department, which is consultancy department in Tura. So they relocated me. I was so excited. Oh my goodness. I've never been to Tassie.
But you just thought, that's where I want to be.
I know my friends were saying, are you crazy? Like, you're leaving everything. And I was very active in the community there.
Yeah.
And I was very active into youth mentoring as well. I remember some of my young people were crying when I was leaving. Why are you going? And some of them are in the African community. So there's this respect of calling people aunties. If they're older than you, auntie, why are you going and leaving us here? It was a very teary time, but I knew this was what I wanted. I've been dreaming about it. So I took that opportunity, relocated here in September 2016.
Okay.
I didn't know anyone in Tassie apart from my manager because he had come to the Melbourne office to see me before I relocated a week before. So he was the only one. So that was the face I was looking for in the airport because he and his wife came to pick me up and took me to the accommodation that Hydro had booked for me to stay for a month while I look for accommodation. I was so excited. I felt I was in a dreamland. And that is how I feel up to now. It's like, is this real? Because then when I was coming, I didn't have any friend here. So I left everything I ever knew in Australia, in Melbourne. Even my granddad was like, are you really taking this move? I said, yeah, I'm going. So it's been one of the best decisions I've made.
I find it so interesting that you just felt so strongly that you had to be here.
I had felt that way since I was doing my diploma. And that was what drove me to go and tell my manager that I'm doing my diploma in building and construction and I would love to work for Hydro.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I know they're not doing building and construction. I know it's power engineering, but I know project management principles are the same. So I would love to. And that was I think 2000 and I started with them 2012. So a few months after I started, I had already told her. So I was with them till 2016, waiting for an opportunity to come over. And it did happen. So I remember, I think she was telling me, my manager said to me then at Hydro, your patience have paid off. I was so glad coming to Tassie. So glad.
Where is home for you?
Well, my heart is torn between two places. It's Tassie and back in the Gambia. Well, I don't tell my Melbourne friends that because they can't
understand Melbourne, I guess.
Yeah, well, Melbourne, it's a visiting state for me for now. I have all of my friends I had since I came to Australia are still there. But Tassie is home. And home is where the heart is, they say. So Tassie and the Gambia.
Yeah. That's really special that you managed to find the two places
my
that
goodness. It was funny though, because I went last year, June, I went back home to the Gambia visiting. And I remember before I left, I was telling everyone, oh, I'm going home. I'm going home for holidays. And they were like, oh, cool. How long was it since you've been? I said 8 years. They said, oh, that would be so good. And then when I was there, I was telling my mom, I think my mom didn't say anything. It was my siblings, though. I think they were getting tired of me. So my two younger brothers, I have immediate sister, myself, and two younger brothers, was like, oh, I'm going back home in 2 weeks. And I think my last brother, he just got in his head and said, wait a minute, what do you mean you're going back home? Say you're going back to Australia. Don't say you're going back home in 2 weeks. I said, well, I'm going back home. It's home. So what is here then? I was like, okay, this is family home too. Yeah, but it's funny when I was going, I was like, I'm going home. And then when I was there, I was like, I have to go back home. So home is Tassie and the Gambia.
Home is both. What two incredibly special places to have as your home?
It is so special. And they're so similar. with the atmosphere and how we do life.
Interesting.
Tassie is so laid back. You haven't come to my country. Oh my goodness. You would think we have 28 hours a day because people are just so laid back and sluggish in the way they do things. You ask them to do things, it's like, oh, that's all right, I'll do it. It's like, you only have 24 hours. But I think it was one of the things that captivated my heart when I came to Tassie.
Yeah.
Because coming from Melbourne, it's like I had to chase the train,
Yeah.
chase the bus, chase the tram,
Yeah.
chase everything. And then when I came to Tassie, it was like, oh, you don't have trains? Okay. And I'm thinking, why is the traffic like, why is it not that much traffic?
Mm.
Melbourne, 1 hour or more, you're in a traffic. So I thought, okay, this feels like a place I know so well, the Gambia, West Africa. So it was just one of the things that just won my heart.
I love that. I think that's very cool. What differences do you notice to children growing up in Tasmania versus how you grew up in Gambia?
Oh, there's a whole lot of difference. First, you've been told what to do. It's by parents. You're not asked, oh, what do you think about this? Your opinion or your option may not be required unless necessary. And that is you will be asked. If you're not asked, you do what you're told. So when I came to Tassie, I was thinking, I think the first time I saw, like, one of my biggest passion is how do we get young people off the streets so that they can make use of the opportunities they have.
Mm.
That was one of my biggest one, like seeing young people and you look at them, you think they're 12 or they're 13 on the street during school time.
Mm.
When I was working with Hydro, and then I moved into Hydro. When I was in the office in the city during lunchtime. We come out to buy lunch, or sometimes you just want to take a break, and it's 11 a.m. and it's school day, and you see the young people out. I think that has been a big ache in my heart. Like, how do we get them to make use of the opportunities? If they can't be in school, is it a training center? Because it's not everyone that is fashioned with the traditional way of education. Some people are very handsome.
Mm.
Maybe it's a TEF or it's a training center where they can be. So how do we get them off street? Compared to the Gambia, when you see young people on the street like that, it's because they don't have the opportunity. Either their parents don't have the funds to send them to school, or maybe, one life decision or the other. It's that the opportunity is not there for them to go to school. And if the opportunity arises, their parents will run everywhere to get them there. So that was one of the big difference I've seen, that we've got the opportunity here. So how can we all help to get the young people off the streets to make use of that opportunity?
How do we not take it for granted?
Exactly. Yeah. Thinking that, oh, it's here, it's going to last forever. Yeah, it may last forever because it's a developed country.
Mhm.
But in developing countries, there are young people on the streets because their parents can't put them to school to make use of the opportunities.
But if they could, then they would be there.
They
and
would.
their
Exactly.
kids wouldn't be wagging. And
No. And most of them, if you see them in the street during that time, it's either they're selling, maybe their parents have, they're merchants, they've got shops and everything. So you see young people more that maybe they'll be carrying a bag of cold water. We have these small sachets of cold water, which is about maybe 100 grams of water like that in different individual bags. And because the weather can be very warm in Africa, so you see them put it on a plate on their heads and calling out, oh, one sachet for $1 or so, because they're helping their parents, they're helping mom or dad, because it's true that whatever they get, the produce they've got from that's what keep the family going. So you see them in the streets being young entrepreneur at that time. It's because their parents don't have the means to send them to school.
Do you think the way that you grew up and in Gambia and then coming to Australia, do you think that has led to you having this perspective and this gratitude, or is that something that was innately within you when you were born?
It's part of my family culture,
Okay.
though. You're always told to make use of the opportunities you have. And also you're always told not to forget your people, your tribe. When you've moved somewhere else, whether you've got a job, also always remember the less privilege itself. And I think also my family culture is, it's in a way where, the less privilege are looked upon with so much compassion. How can you help? How can you reach out? So it's been part of my family culture to make use of our opportunities we have, but also to remember the people that are, less privileged compared to us. How can we help? And it's one of the biggest things that you'll find a lot of Africans do that are in the diaspora. It's some of them send money back home to sponsor either their auntie's children, their uncles, or maybe it's a long-time friend. They have a friend, the children of that friend or so. It's always in most cultures in Africa, in some African countries, that culture is always there where you or wherever you are, when you're in a place where you've got that privilege to remember the people that are less privileged. How can you support? How can you help to get maybe one child off the street?
Yeah, like how can you leave the ladder so that others can follow you?
Exactly. So it's part of our culture. And then you have other families that are so strict with you, making sure you follow that culture because you're giving back to someone and that person gives back. So the circle of helping one another continues going round from one generation to another.
Do you think that is because it was a developing country, or do you think that that is just innately within the nature of the people?
It is within the nature and culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if, because I'm thinking about Australia and I grew up in South Australia in Adelaide, and because there wasn't as many challenges,
Yeah.
I also don't think there was as much gratitude. And because there wasn't as much gratitude, I don't think there was as much of that compassion for others. Do you know what I mean?
That is so true. I find it my grandma says it better. When you have a lot of options, you forget to be grateful. That's what my grandma used to say. When you have a lot of options, you forget to be grateful. And I used to think growing up, grandma, again, she has all of these words that she threw around, these phrases. I'm thinking, what does she mean by that? But then when I came to Australia, I understood it better.
Yes.
That when you have a lot of options, then if you're not careful, you stay into an entitlement, attitude. I'm entitled to it. But when you get to travel to countries where they're less privileged, then you understand that what you have is a privilege.
Yeah.
Then you become more grateful for it.
I have a mentor, and he said to me once that nobody deserves anything, but it's okay to acknowledge that you've earned something. And I found that a really great barometer personally.
Yeah.
To be careful with that line of being ungrateful or whatever it might be. Of do I deserve this? No, I don't deserve it. But have I put in the work to earn it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, I have. And that's okay to acknowledge as well.
Yeah, it is. It's so good to acknowledge that. It's part of life. So good to acknowledge that.
What lesson from your childhood do you think has served you best in the construction industry now?
Well, focus and determination. Because I had to be grounded or disciplined to be focused and determined, because I was more of the conversational child in my family. And my mom always asked me, all of this conversation I'm talking, where did you get it from? Your dad is not like that. I'm not like that. Where did you get it from? Maybe from your ancestors or from your faraway aunties from your father's side. And it is true. So my mom used to think that I would lose focus because of that. Because in my school, from primary school, I was in the singing club, in the drama club. I was in also the debate club. So anything that has to do with communication, I was in it. I was in the peer health club as well. So going into secondary school, I remember sometimes I would tell my mom, we have a debate competition with another school, and she'd be like, did you do your homework? Because she'd be like, all of these things you're doing, how is it helping your core subjects? I was like, Mom, but it's a club. He said, yeah, that's it. It's a school club, not a core subject. So my mom always think that, okay, I may lose focus on my core subject because I was more into the creative area and communication itself. So sometimes I have to be grounded to like, no, you're not going this time. I want you to focus on your education. I want you to focus on the subjects that actually are going to take you through exam. You're not going to be doing debate in your final
And
exam.
meanwhile, you're practicing your lines for the play.
Exactly. And I remember, to be honest, I was disciplined once because of dancing. It gets me why I had to get that discipline because of it. But my mom was like, no, I want you to stop. Everything that is in the creative arts and all of that, I want you to stop. I want you to focus on what maths, English, technical drawing, and all of that literature that you're doing, because those are the things you're doing in examination. So my mom has to put her foot down, and my dad, so that I will actually focus on those more than the extra ones I was doing, which is more in the creative arts. And I was very sporty as well. I was a high jumper, I was a long jumper, and I was a basketball player and a volleyball player. But in most African cultures, they see that as extra games or hobbies. They don't see that as a career growing up. It's my mom's like, you're going to stop bouncing that ball. My grandma would say, you're going to stop bouncing that ball and focus on your education. And I'm thinking, if they had left me, maybe I'll be in one of these big, WNBAs, in the US or another world. Or if they had let me to focus on the creative arts, maybe by now I would have been an actress somewhere. But most African cultures then, in the 90s or so, they didn't see that as a career path worth pursuing. They see that as extra hobbies that you can do. Education was very important. So my mom had to put her foot down and get me to turn my focus on education, and that was my core subjects that I was doing.
Because it sounds like you did that and you went through and you did your study and you knew construction was your goal. Even in the industry now, you still maintain that creativity and
I do.
in lots of other avenues. Like I'm sure you bring it to your the mic. I'm sure you bring it to your work as well, but you're an author and you do lots of other creative things like that. So how do you integrate them? How does it work for you?
Well, I make time. I remember someone asked me if I ever sleep at all. I do sleep. Because apart from writing itself, I write, apart from books, I write scripts, I write poems. I write script for movies and short plays as well, and documentary. And I am a dancer. That's one thing some people in Tassie don't know about me, but my friends in Melbourne know.
There we go.
I'm a choreographer. So I dance. But then when I came to Tassie, I was like, okay, let me focus. I'm here, this is going to be a big turn going into project management and earning into the industry. So let me put my focus in that. Having said that, though, I have spare time at home where, I just turn the whole lounge upside down with my dancing and all of that. So I do dance. I continue the writing. And then obviously with the speaking, sometimes, I'm invited to speak in different places as well. So I continue that aspect, but then I could see that my mom pushing me or putting her foot down for me to focus and be very determined in my study is paying off now, because it would have been the other way around.
Yeah.
It would have been me more in the creative, not saying that is bad or putting it down at anyway. No, I would have loved it. But again, it's what you're told from the African community, most African communities, I would say. It's what you're told to do.
Is the construction industry what you thought it was going to be?
Well, not really. But I think I had a clue that it was going to be like that when I started my diploma in Melbourne. I was the only female student. And I think I've said that so many times now. People are tired of hearing that. In a class of 60, I was not supposed to be the only student. There was another young lady that was going to join me, because when I went in and put my application, I did ask them at the International Student Office, who else is there, another female student? They say, yeah, there's another, so it will be two of you. I was so excited, Rachael. I was so glad. First day,
You've got best friend necklaces picked out.
Yeah.
You're saving seats.
First day in, I was the only one. I thought, okay, maybe people don't, not everyone turns up the first day.
Yes.
Second day, 1 week is gone. The second week, no show. You wouldn't believe what I did. I walked back into the International Student Office.
Excuse me.
And I asked them, It's like Sandra. I remember Sandra was the coordinator for the international students. Like, you told me there was another student that registered, another female student, and who will be in my class. I said, this is almost the end of week 2. What's happening? Oh, sorry, she pulled out. I was so upset. How could she pulled out? Like, what was the reason? It was like I think she looked at me like, oh, that's none of your business. Like, yeah, it was like, why? How could she do that? I remember when I got home, I cried because I felt so bad. I'm thinking, why did she have to leave me all by myself to be in a class of 60 and I'm the only female student? It took me, I think, some days before I get over that because I'm thinking, like, seriously? I'm going to be walking in that class alone? I'm going to be sitting alone? But it's gradually I make friends, with my male classmate, but it was just a big disappointment. And that other female student have no idea that she's disappointed another student
She doesn't
in that
realize
class.
the level to which she let you down.
No, I wish she was told that I cried because it's like, no way. Why would you do that? But then gradually, after a long 18 months of, fighting to make my way in the class, I end up having friends. That gave me a clue though. That
I think some people probably don't understand why you would have been so upset that there wasn't another female in the class. Why do you think you were so upset?
And this was 2011, right? There was not that much push and movement of women in the industry at that time. So it's like anyone can do what they want to do, but then you're looked upon like, this is a male dominant cause, right? So, what are you doing there? There was not that much encouragement at that point where, or maybe you will see advocacy to the national level where you hear people come out and encouraging women in construction. It was anyone I tell that I was doing that was like, why? Why would you leave any other course and go there? And that was some of the feedback I got from my classmates. What are you doing here? This is not a female course. This is a male course. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Go and do a female course. And it's like, what is a female course? I'm like, go and do what? I don't know, a secretary job or something. And that actually hit me to say, okay, this might be what I will experience in the industry. Because this was a classroom.
Did you experience it in industry as well?
Well, that was the overtone. Maybe because of, my cries, and I'm thinking, oh dear Lord, it better not be like that in the industry. But I'm glad that, it shouldn't happen in any classroom. But I'm glad that I saw that part there because then it prepared me. It helped me to know, okay, you have to brace yourself. You have to be very determined because you've left family, friends, loved ones. You've left mom and dad and siblings in the Gambia, in West Africa, to travel 3 days to get into Australia to come and do this course. So come what may, I need to finish it. So that really helped me to prepare for the industry. And then I had one of my lecturers that was teaching us project management in the construction field, who was also preparing us because he would tell us plainly, we've got women, but they're not much. And tell us some of the things that really happen. Sometimes he will come up with newspapers of things that are happening in the industry. And during that time in Melbourne, I quite remember there was a case where there was this lady that had to fight a whole lot ending in a court case to sue, I think it was his employer or some people in the industry because of abuse and a whole lot of things. And that really hit me right in the middle of my eyes because I'm thinking, oh dear me, no. But then all of those things helped me. And I had a mentor as well who was very good. She was always there to guide me through. And all of that, I think, prepared me. But then I came into the industry. I was thinking, wait, hold on a minute. What's happening here? I'm not seeing any of that. Not saying that others don't go through it. But for me, it was a flip over that I didn't expect. But I'm grateful that I've got some of those trainings from my mentor to prepare me that this is what you may face. What you're facing in the classroom, it's just something maybe on a lower scale. So you may face more of this when you get into the
You're
industry.
like, I don't want to.
I was ready. I was like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going into the industry because I've left. And my mentor was always telling me, remember what you always say, that you've left parents and everything to come and study. This was your passion.
How did you get a mentor?
Well, I got a mentor from the local faith community when I was in Melbourne.
Okay.
So they normally do mentor as well, you know, young migrants that come in. And this lady that was my mentor, she was a nurse. She's been in Australia for maybe over 25 years or so. And she has mentored a whole lot of young people as well and migrants. So she was just the right woman that was there to just guide me through. She's still in my life up to now, which I'm so grateful. So that has been, you know, I would say the biggest help or support I've received, and come ready to come into the industry. And what happened? I fell into the arms of great mentors as well. People that I see like, you know, my uncles, because in Africa, we're taught about respect. If someone is older than you, it's an uncle or an auntie. Maybe if they're 10 years older than you, gap, you know, or more. So I come to work with people that kind of like my grandpa's age, you know,
Yeah.
and my uncle's age. So I fell into their arms and they helped me through my first few years in with Hydro and Tura. It's been my best because that was my first to be introduced, to step out of really the uni system and come into the industry. That was epic. I won't forget that.
So it's sort of like you came out of uni with your armor on, ready to battle, and then you sort of fell into this lovely support.
The African in me was ready.
You're like,
let's go.
And the industry's like, welcome. Have a tea.
So true. So I'm just so grateful, and that's why for me, I always give that gratitude to those that have helped me in the industry and actually showed me that, look, you can actually have this type of experience in the industry, and why not everyone?
Did you ever feel, because you moved away, so you were an expat in Melbourne learning, the only woman in your course, is English your second language?
Yes.
English is a second language.
Yes.
You're probably in a room full of people who don't look like you. Are you ever sitting there in those moments thinking of all of those things going, I'm really the odd one out? Or are you like, no, I'm here and I will own this?
I didn't feel the odd one out until when I was told, what are you doing here? I think that is when it hit me.
Only when it was put on you did you feel like that?
Exactly. That's when I felt like that. But with the help of my mentor, I had to quickly get off from that place of, you know, woe is me. You know, how am I going to push through? They've already now started to remind me of who I am in the midst of a sea of men in my class. But actually, towards the end, that actually really helped me. I used that as fuel, you know, firewood for the fire, and said, okay, I've gone through this one, then I'm ready for the industry. Whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it. And also coming from Africa, growing up, in my culture, it's you're built for that. You're built for when hardship come. You're built for when challenges come. You're built for obstacles. How do you overcome them? So when, for example, when you're going through something hard and all of that, you're not given the privilege to nurture it. You're reminded now you need to get off and face it and keep going. Because if everyone is going to sit down and nursing it, no one is going to achieve anything. So that was the type of culture I grew up in. It's like you have to face your challenges. You have to face whatever obstacle is in front of you and then try to defeat it. So you don't cower away. So even if I'm feeling down, I have to put that feeling behind my head and then put on that face of determination and conquering spirit that I am going to conquer this. So that type of culture and that type of, tradition that I grew up in helped me. I think that's one of the things that helped me to bounce back quickly, even from my class. With being disappointed, I was the only one. It's like I could always hear my grandma's voice. You can do it. Keep that. That's what you want to do. So you have to go for it. And also having a mentor that is also an African that has gone through a whole lot of hurdles as well and made great success in her career, who was also there to remind me of that. So that really helped me.
I think it is so important to see people doing the things that you want to do to feel like it's possible. Do you know what I mean? So with that, so you're in construction now, you're following your heart in terms of your creativity, and those things are coexisting. What do you think you owe the women coming up behind you?
Wow. I owe them everything. The whole process and the journey itself. I normally tell myself, if I never put my hand behind me, I'm trying to translate an African proverb into English now. If I never put my hand behind me to give a helping hand to people that are coming across the same path that I've walked in, then I'll be ungrateful. So there's this saying that they say in Africa that says, if you don't know where you're going, know where you came from. And that is always to remind you of the culture and of the type of tradition you came from. The things that have been instilled in you from when you were born as a child growing up, and also the culture of always remember those that are less privileged. And that's why they say, if you don't know where you're going in life, remember where you came from. Because where you came from, this is what you've been taught. And that is why I said, if I don't share or reach out, then I forgot where I came from. Because that's one of the big things in my culture. It's always lending a hand. That's where that analogy was coming from. Sending your hand behind, It means to always remember those coming behind you. Yeah, to always remember those coming behind you. And coming back to what you ask is, I owe it to my culture. I owe it to my tradition to actually lend a hand with people that are coming behind me, people that will walk through the same journey. And by doing that is sharing my own experiences, is sharing my own life learnings in career and in life, showing them where the potholes are, which I found that few years ago we're not really good at showing people that are coming behind. Oops, be careful there. There's a pothole there. You might fall. Oh, there's another hole there. Be careful, or actually finding ways where you can seal that pothole so that the people coming behind you don't fall into it. Because what do we gain if we keep quiet and a whole generation after us come and fall into the same potholes that we've fallen into? Why don't we use all of those scars, all of those experiences we've had to share with them and said, I have walked through this journey and this is what I've encountered. These were the scars, but these were the testimonies as well. These were the days of maybe of sadness and all of that, but there are a lot of happy days as well. And then you're preparing them when you do that. You want to make sure that they come from a place where they avoid as much potholes, if not all of the potholes, because that's how you leave a legacy. You've gone ahead and then you turn back to now help the next generation come in and say, this is how you do it if you want to come through this path.
What sorts of potholes should we be warning people about?
Well, there's a whole lot of potholes in life.
Pick a few.
Well, in regards to career itself, it's compassion. I think that's one of the big things, and empathy, that I feel we still need to do a whole lot when it comes to compassion and empathy, because we are in one of the most multicultural countries or continent, I would say, in the Western world, and remembering that some people are coming from a place where they don't have all of the privileges and the options, like we said earlier, that we have. So how can we be a little bit more compassionate and show empathy and listen to their stories? Because we learn by listening to each other's story. We learn by getting to know each other. I learn some things about other people and their cultures that I have no idea about. And they learn about my cultures as well. So when they see me behave in a certain way, they don't tell me as weird. They know that, oh, okay, this is part of our culture. When they see me speak in a certain way, they know, oh, this is part of our culture. So that compassion and empathy to listen to people's story and to always lend that hand of compassion, it's one of the potholes that we can avoid itself by being more compassionate and showing more empathy with people, irrespective of who they are, where they came from. Whether even if they're locals as well, they have a story.
It's one of those lessons that once you learn it, you realize that it doesn't take anything away from you or your story or your achievements to make space for other people.
Exactly. And the other one is love. I mean, love means a whole lot of things, but the love of humanity, we are human first before we're whatever. We're human first. And I remember one of my best songwriters says, we all bleed the same. It's like, I never thought about that. It's like, hey, cut your hands, I cut my hand. We all bleed the same across the whole world. So it's that love for humanity. You love the person because they are human, full stop. No buts. Just leave every but out. They're human. You want to be loved. You also, show that same love to someone. Treat people as you would love to be treated. So if we walk in love, in compassion and empathy, oh my goodness, we won't have so many of the scars we get from the potholes of life, climbing up to our careers. And it goes across even the industry itself. If we walk in compassion and empathy and love, we will still not be talking about 12 or 13% of women in the industry. We'll have one of the most diverse industry because everyone there and everyone that is aiming to get into the industry is thinking about others above themselves, which is one of the things that we're in a world where it's me, myself, and I. Everyone, it's like, how do I get there? What do I do? But the love of of others as well, it matters. Think about people above yourself. I mean, I used to have problem with that. My mom and siblings, four of us, always fighting around and stepping on each other's toes. And my mom would always say, you think about the other. I was like, Mom, that's not even fair. Like, how do I think about my sister doesn't think about me?
You're fighting for your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's siblings, four of us in the house. No way. But then I get to understand it as I grew older. That's the best we can give back to humanity. Irrespective of their outlook, how they dress, how they present themselves. Love conquers all. It's love people for the fact that they are human beings, period. And you also want it to be loved. You want it to be treated, with respect and all of that. And give that to someone that people may think don't deserve. There's no one that doesn't deserve love. We all deserve to be loved. We all deserve compassion and empathy. So let's share that around.
Do you think the construction industry is, on average, better, worse, about the same as other industries in terms of that pursuit of empathy and compassion?
Well, we haven't changed that much since 2011, as I remember. When I was in my class and hearing the stories that my lecturer was sharing with me, we haven't changed that much. To be honest, yes, we still have to celebrate, the improvements that we're making, which is so good. But we still have a long way to go. We haven't changed that much. And if we think about the love of others above ourselves, we'll not be where we are today. Would have had so much more improvement. We'll be one of the most enviable industries in the world.
How do we encourage others to do that, do you think?
Just think about people as human. Don't look at their outlook, what they have on, or what they look like, or what color, whether they're brown, white, yellow, pink, whatever. Don't look at that. just see them as human beings, and they deserve to be loved and listened to. And that's it. All of this push and push we're having in the industry to have more women in the industry, it will be an easy thing for us to conquer. If those that are already there or those that are putting up the walls can just remember, look, that's a human being like me.
Why do you think they're putting up the walls? Do you think they're feeling threatened that their space is being taken away, or have they just not been taught that human empathy? What do you feel like is the issue?
I want to lean with the empathy and the love, because, like I said, love would just conquer everything. Love wins everything itself, because when you have empathy and love for people, it just puts down every traditional idea you have in your head or every traditional belief, like maybe this is our industry and all of that. Yes, I value that. In fact, I tell people that I honor the founding fathers of this industry. I honor them because my culture teaches me to honor the fathers of maybe it's a certain tribe or a certain group or something like that. The people that have gone ahead to build, to do all of that work, I honor them. I honor them because my culture says so, and I honor them. And I normally do say that. But in another way as well, after saying that, apart from that is, how do you now turn around and help this generation, this diverse generation of people that want to come into the industry? How do you do it? I'm not saying that, you have to kind of, push yourself out of the way. No, you can give a lending hand out there and said, okay, this generation of people, we're no longer in 50 or 70 years ago. This is the 21st century. And there are some women that are gifted, or is in them realizing that, look, we've got a generation of women that are gifted with the same passion and skill set as we are. So how do we mentor them? Can you imagine if they turn all of that energy to mentor us, and all of that energy to guide us?
I know. It's also like populations are getting bigger. So we need to build more infrastructure to support the population.
Yeah.
So we need more people to build. Let women in, and support them, and imagine all of the incredible things that we could be building and creating, and if we opened it up to everyone who wanted to be involved rather than keeping people
true. They know. It's not that they don't know that the population is growing and we need it. I think it's more just holding on to tradition. Yeah, this has been, okay, a male dominant field. So we want to keep it like that. I saw my grandpa, this was the early 90s, right? And I would say to my grandpa, I want to help you and all of. He's never pushed me out and say, no, you can do this, you're a woman. He's always worried that I would drive a nail through my finger, because he was a builder and also he was a carpenter as well. And I want to, okay, grandpa, I can use that hammer to push that nail down. He's always worried, don't put that nail in your finger and all of that. But he's never said to me, this is not for girls.
He was probably saying the same thing to your brothers.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what he will say. And I said to him, I want to do that too. I want to build houses like you, Grandpa. He's never giving no. And this was in the 90s, right? So it's at that time, if you could understood that, okay, my granddaughter wants to do this and she can, this is the 21st century. I think we need to think outside of the scope that, okay, it's a male industry itself. I'm so grateful for the male allies that we've got and the male mentors that we've got. Like I said, those that are putting up the pushbacks, if they turn that energy around to mentor us, to guide us, to work with us, to collaborate together, what an amazing industry we'll have in this nation. That will actually stand in as a trademark that other countries can look to and say, oh wow, we want to be like Australia. We want to make sure that our industry is as diverse as well as Australia. But we just have to keep talking. And we have to keep finding ways that we can collaborate, because the push and pull with them is not going to move things faster. It's learning how do we collaborate with them and how do we get them on the table. And sometimes I think some of them as well just need that education around, an awareness about this. It's like, what would you do if your granddaughter wants to be in the industry? Or what would you do if your daughter wants to be in the industry? Sometimes changing the dynamics of the conversation with them can get people to actually think outside the box. And having said that, I'm just not saying men, because to be honest, there are women in the industry as well that have put up walls. Like, they are not reaching out to help other women into the industry. And it's disappointing for me, because it's like, no, not you. I didn't expect that from you. I came from the men and all of that, yeah, but not you. So it's how do we continue that education and that advocacy to make sure across the whole industry, both men and women that are in there right now, can work together with the groups and the organizations that are advocating for more women, so that we can see the diversity we all long for in our industry.
I think that's really well said. What do you love about construction?
Wow, that question. I've had that question so many times. I think one of the things that is very fascinating to me is the end product of whatever we've set to build. And I get used to get so wrapped up with the design itself. Like I said to you, I thought I was going to be an architect. That's what I studied, technical drawing, where we would draw plans. And it was more on residentials that would draw plans. I was like, how do I just take this off the paper and put it on the ground? I was involved, maybe year 10 or year 11. That was one of my greatest fascination. But I think the thing that really almost took my breath away, it's realizing the different skill set it needs to get that there. It's not just the technical people. It starts from way down to whoever is going to be, even the administrator of that project itself. And I've said it a few times that I found out in the past few years, my passion is drawing more into non-technical women itself, because I think in most of the advocacy and all of that I've seen, when we say it's the construction industry, there's tend for people to think that, oh, it's just the people building, or it's the technical, or it's the engineers. And I've said it before, the technical people and the engineers alone cannot make this industry. If we had only those two people, the industry would have collapsed a long time ago. So my fascination, or what won my heart and took me over, was seeing the different people that work together to see that final structure, erected, to see that final structure come to life. That is my biggest fascination. It's seeing how people work, whether they are from the environmental advisors, seeing people that are the communication engagement specialists, seeing people that are the administrators, project administrators, or even people that do our financial reporting, like making sure that our figures are aligning, your forecast is aligning, and the accounts people that pay the invoices, and all of the other people that are involved in it, to make sure whatever infrastructure we have is taking off that design paper and on the ground. It's not just the people you see on the side every day. It's not just the engineers and the technical people there. It's the operation house. I call them the engine house in the office that we don't get to see on site. They are moving everything to make sure that we could be on the site to have that building and that structure up. So they are the people that have just won my heart, because sometimes I think about it, when I'm about to get a contract out, you get this, we have a project definition statement where we start to get a project out. When you get that and you think, sometimes I sit there, I was like, I just want this thing to be built, period. Because then you get through the loop of all of the other departments that are involved. I'm so grateful to our procurement and contracts. In fact, I'm so great. Construction contracts can give you headache
Yes.
itself and all its clauses. And sometimes think, why all of these clauses? Let's just get this built, right? And I'm thinking about it, all of the teams, all of the support people, all of those other skill set that I have in that project to make sure that at the end of the day, we can get that contract and get those contractors on site to build that thing. They are the engine, the powerhouse that is getting that going. Yes, they don't, most of the time, they don't get seen, like I said earlier. But if you take them out, you'll get no structure out. You'll get no infrastructure built out there.
It sounds like what you love about construction is the community of it all.
I am a very community-oriented person. That's how we're back in Africa, especially in my hometown, in the Gambia. We're so community-oriented. It's community. It's village life. You know that African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah, it's everyone is involved in raising that child. Everyone is involved to make sure that, oh, that child is doing the right thing in society. Like, you go out, you be naughty, you get Uncle So-so, who's not even like your related uncle, but because, they're old, they see them, Uncle So-so down the street, 5 blocks away, discipline you and then accompany you home. And you get there, your parents discipline you in front of that uncle and said, we did not brought you up like this, So it takes the whole village and the community to raise you. And that's what happens in projects, It takes a whole village to build a structure.
Yeah, it does.
It takes a whole village to put up those infrastructure that we're seeing. When you look roads, whether they're roads, airport, whatever infrastructure, or even residential, it takes a whole village. And that's what I apply myself, remembering, my grandma said, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to build. And you need to appreciate every one of those people are important. And then all need to share the shine and the glory at the end.
Yeah, I like that about construction too. I think if you'd have told me in high school or even uni that my career would essentially just be lots of team projects, I'd be like, oh, not for me. Goodbye. I don't like group assignments. But it truly is that element of community and connection, the common goal, working towards that common goal of finishing the project or achieving the outcome it's just so fulfilling.
It is. It is so fulfilling. It's one of those industries, not that there are not others, one of those industries where it brings a vast skill set together on one table to get a project out on the door. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. When I sit sometimes and listen to environmental advisors say, oh no, we need this permit, or we need to do this, we need to do that. In me, I'm saying, I am so grateful. I'm just so grateful because I would not have thought about that. I just want the structure built, period, full stop. I would not have thought about that. But I get to appreciate each and every one of them with what they bring on the table. It's like having eyes everywhere for that project. And the more eyes you have, the more you're able to see what needs to be done and what we need to avoid, or what needs to be improved on to make sure we get to that final output that we all want. So it's like a community, like you said. For me, it's like a village. Yeah.
Yeah, a really massive village that's a whole industry.
Yes. And don't we step on each other's toes sometimes? But that's it. That's what a village does, It's supposed to, that was my mistake. I should, I've learned that. Oh, really? Oh, that's what I should have done. Appreciate each other's skill set and get to learn from each other.
I feel like you are one of those people who appreciates everybody within the team in the best way possible.
Oh, I appreciate people. Oh my goodness. It's not all the time like I get to tell people I appreciate them and it's like, I should have said that. Why didn't I say that, on time? And I'm learning more to do that often, as soon as it clicks my head and all of that, to do it and say, now I'll do it another time or say. I am not more of an email person though, when it comes to appreciating. I like saying it to your face because there's something with looking at you and appreciating you, that really actually not just drive emotions, but sees the sincerity of where it's coming from. So I'm more of a verbal person. person, giving appreciation verbally than email, because I want you to see my eyes when I'm saying it. I want you to see that it's from my heart when I'm saying it.
I think it could be quite easy, particularly in Australian culture, to get the email and think that it's sarcastic or not sincere. I think that's such a good point in terms of reducing opportunities to be misunderstood.
Yes, face to
Look at me while
face.
I'm saying this to you.
Yes.
I actually mean it from my heart.
Exactly. And I understand sometimes you have teams that are across states and different places that can't email comes in, but I would say take if you have that opportunity to do face to face, value that. That is really good. It was I think on Sunday, I said, there was this lady that's in our community. She's just been so helpful. I saw her last week Sunday. We were sitting chatting and she was running around. There was some barbecue happening. Have you eaten? She was just running around. She didn't get the time to sit down and chat like we were doing. And I just couldn't take my eyes off her. So I saw her this Sunday, and her name is Catherine too. And I just stopped her. She stopped and I hugged her and she was wondering why. I said, thank you for last week. She said, what did I do? I said, we were sitting down, chilling, on the place that have good shade. And you were out in the sun, making sure we all have barbecue, making sure the children have eaten. I said, I want you to know that I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. She just started bawling. She just started bawling. I said, no, I mean it. And last week I was beating myself to go, I should have said that before I left. So today when I saw you, I thought, no, I'm going to grab that opportunity and say that, because I've got people that have walked up to me and do the same as well, And it's just appreciating people. And then I remember before I left, I said to her, remember that you're seen, right? You're at the back doing that, but you're seen. And I think that broke her more. Because, sometimes you could be in the doing so much and you think people don't see you, people don't appreciate you. So I just said to her, remember that you're seen. And then I walked off before she started getting all teary. But I had to do that. And I was so grateful that I did that. My heart was so glad that I was able to do that. So the same with our project teams, with the community that gets our project out there. Let's do more of that and appreciate people.
I think sometimes people can feel self-conscious or like they're too much or too intense for doing those kinds of things. And I think you're so right. It's just such a lovely thing when people say it to you. How nice does it feel? But sometimes we can overthink saying it to others.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah, I think there was a few times where I was like, oh dear. But she doesn't look like she will take an appreciation for now, or she looks like she's in a hurry. But you know what? As soon as you just put that, whatever, as soon as you put that behind yourself, behind your mind, and just step in and say, it just stops them still. They stand still and listen. Because the human heart wants to be appreciated. The human heart wants to feel seen, wants to feel heard, wants to feel loved. And when you give that, no matter how hard-hearted that person is, it just melts them. And we need to do more of that. And sometimes those things become, the power engine that keeps someone actually going and said, oh, okay, I'm being seen, so my contribution is being noticed. I keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because you never know if that person is on the end of the spectrum where they're saying, that's it for me. No one sees me. No one appreciates me. I'm doing all of this work. I'm helping the team, but it's the one that are out there in the field that gets all the shine and all of that. But when you stop and appreciate them, especially for those that are in the field more, I think they should be appreciating more the people in the office so that they know that, look, I couldn't have gone out and do that without you doing the amazing work you're doing in the office here.
I agree with you. I think we need to show more appreciation.
More love. That's what I was telling you, that pothole. Love, more love. People want to be loved. Yeah.
My final question is, why did you agree to come on NAWIC Couch today?
Oh, because she asked me. Rachel asked, but I have. It's funny that I've watched few of your episodes before you asked me, though, and I was thinking, wow, this looks so relaxed, and it feels at home. When I mean at home, that you're my tribe, you're part of my tribe.
Thank you.
We're in the same industry, and our hearts are for the same thing because we want diversity.
Mhm.
We want women participation in the industry, and we're looking forward to see empowerment of more women to come on board. So we're in the same tribe, we're in the same community. So when you reached out, I was like, yeah, because I've seen Rachel, done that with few of the people I've watched the episode. I'm like, yeah, I would love to come to the NAWIC couch because we're NAWIC.
So now it came to you. We're here in Hobart.
I am so grateful you came to Hobart, which is so good because at least now this will be your first one in Hobart. Oh wow.
First interstate episode recording ever.
Wow.
Yeah,
Come on, Tazzy.
I know.
Wow, that is so good. So good. And I'm just so grateful that, no matter which state we're in Australia, we're all part of the one community, the
Yeah.
one tribe, for advocacy and women empowerment into the industry. So it's lovely to hear from you that you would like me to come on the couch because it's like a family member asking you to come for a chat for me. So it's family, it's community.
I'm glad you feel that way, and I really appreciate your time coming on today. That's why I joined now. I was looking for community, and I was looking for people like me who I could connect with and have conversations with. And getting to do couch now, I get to bring it to Hobart and speak to incredible people like you. So I'm just, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to talk to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out of your comfort zone
Yes.
to come and meet us here. Yes, thank you so much. I value it. I appreciate it. And I thank you as well for what you're doing. You're lending a voice and it's like opening the door to get more women to come and sit so that, get to hear each other's story and learn from each other. I remember someone was asking me, what do I think about NAWIC or, the community? And I gave the person one of the analogies that was like, oh, wow, I didn't think about it that way. But to me, I see NAWIC as a leader. And when I mean NAWIC, I mean all of us, all right? In all of the states nationwide, where, as leaders that will dare to go into uncharted territory, right? Take some ground, put our hands, lending hands behind and pull some women to come and take that territory. And then we go in again, knock some doors again, take more territories, whatever those territories stand for, whether it's diversity, whether it's, this gender pay gap we're talking about, knock some walls down, get an army of women to come and take over, go back to another uncharted territory, knock whatever walls it is down. And knocking those walls down, it's not like we're going to say, give it to us by force, but it's by collaboration, by negotiation, and also by education itself and empowerment, taking those grants. So I see us as a body and as a community that is stepping into uncharted territories, taking grounds and getting more women to come and occupy that ground while we go and take another ground until we get the diversity that we all long for in the industry.
We can fill the potholes and warn people about them, but we also need to support each other while we're pushing forward at the same time.
It's a family love thing, and that's how we do. Like we go and stand for each other, go in and advocate for each other, and then just make sure that we are able to get as many people as possible that are passionate for this industry come on board.
Yeah, come join us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.